Varland and France coming over from the Twins, and Alan Rhoden and Kendrys Roja going the other way to Minnesota. What do you make of that move for the Blue Jays?
Pretty steep price to pay. No, I was not aware of that, actually. I've been busy trying to catch up with some of the deals that happened, I guess, a little bit before that one came down the pipe. Yeah, I'm surprised they gave up on Rhoden that quickly. They were pretty high on him last offseason. Rojas, I mean, obviously pitchers are high risk by their nature, but we haven't seen a lot of really strong prospect returns. We've seen a lot of minor leaguers made, but not a lot of good prospects. So they're two pretty good prospects to give up for role players.
Well, in terms of the bigger picture, I guess the big move, the move of substance today was them acquiring Shane Bieber, who's coming off Tommy John, but we're well aware of his resume and his stuff when he's healthy. What do you make of that approach by Ross Atkins and company going out and getting Shane Bieber?
It's just, I wonder to what extent. Obviously, it's a long time, right? But there's comfort in dealing with Cleveland, right? That's clearly a thing for this front office. It's a big bet on Bieber being what he once was. And I just don't think we know. I think it's too soon to know at this point. He's looked fine in his rehab outings. I will say his fastball isn't playing quite as well as it used to. Slider's been pretty good. Obviously, it's their rehab outings. He's not necessarily trying to get every hitter out. He is working on very limited pitch counts, so it is not the ideal way to judge or to scout a player. And I do think there's something to be taken from the fact that slider is an out pitch again, where just the fact that a lot of guys will tell you after they have elbow surgery, the breaking stuff, just throwing the breaking stuff doesn't feel the same, and they don't come. Guys, there's plenty of examples of guys who had really good curveballs that go under the knife. They come out, and the curveball's not the same. The fact that the slider and his kind of has some downward curveball-like break to it is still there is a positive. I would just, I heard you guys say maybe he's a potential ace for them. I really would pump the brakes on that because he is just coming back from injury. He's going to have a setback. He's going to be on a limited workload. You hope that's eventually what he returns to. But in the short term, I'm not expecting him to win as much.
So in this deal that just happened, Keith, and the Jays acquire the centerpiece of the deal is Louis Varland, who has electric stuff out of the bullpen, throws 99 plus. What do you make of his potential to fill out the Blue Jays bullpen?
He's a good late game relief option. The Twins messed around forever, wasted a lot of time trying to make him a starter. There's no chance he could do that. He's a right-handed pitcher who's had terrible trouble, at least when he was a starter, just getting lefties out, keeping them in the ball, and just generally had a problem keeping guys in the ballpark. That has been better since he moved to the bullpen. I think that he can be kind of good. I'd say high leverage. I don't really care as much about he's a closer. He's a setup man. If he's someone you can bring in a tight game in the later innings, doesn't matter what innings it is. One thing I do like about him, you mentioned the power stuff, it's absolutely true, but he doesn't strike out as many guys as you'd expect for a guy throwing 100. The thing that impresses me is he doesn't walk that. We have just drifted into this era where we want pitch shapes, we want guys with electric stuff. And I like those guys too. They miss bats, and obviously if the hitter doesn't make contact, nothing really bad can happen. But I also appreciate the fact there's a place for a guy in the later innings who doesn't walk anyone, who avoids the free passes. I mean, if you ask a lot of managers, they'll tell you that's the thing they want the most later in games. So I do appreciate that he does that. I think he helps them. My initial reaction was they're paying a lot in terms of prospects for a guy who is going to throw 20 innings for them the rest of the season.
When the dust settles and all the deals finally trickle out, how does the landscape of the AL East change based on today's moves for the Yankees, the Jays, and the Red Sox?
Yeah, it's funny. My editor was joking. Did the Yankees have any players before today? I mean, they just keep acquiring guys. And they managed to do it without giving up a whole lot. They didn't give up anybody. I don't think they have anybody as good as Rojas or Rhoden, actually. Just kind of mentally trying to run through all the players the Yankees traded away. I mean, the Yankees did a good job. They marketed their guys, and I think they cashed in on them. Of course, the Yankees, what's going to matter the most is what they get out of Aaron Judge this year. If nothing the Yankees did today is going to be as important as does Aaron Judge return sooner rather than later, and is he 100% when he comes back? I know there were rumors of the Red Sox possibly adding another starting pitcher later today. I don't know if any of that actually happened at the deadline. Still waiting to see if stuff trickles through. I would say that the Blue Jays should feel comfortable about their ability to stay ahead of the Red Sox the rest of the way. Obviously, the Orioles are getting worse, which can only help you in terms of the wild card race, the more that you play the Orioles the rest of the season. Blue Jays fans should be glad their team did something. I feel like the complaint I've heard from Blue Jays fans since the Atkins-Shapiro group took over was that they don't do enough. And they did. And that they hug their prospects too much. Well, they didn't. This year, they traded Cal Steven, they traded Rhoden, they traded Rojas. They may have traded as much prospect depth as anyone. Looks at the Padres, but they don't count because that's just what they do every year. So, if you're a Blue Jays fan, your complaint for years has been they're not aggressive enough. Well, they certainly were today.
Yeah, well, and if you include Sir Anthony Dominguez, who they picked up a couple of days ago, that appears to be their trade deadline. The Dominguez, Bieber, Varland, France. And they got a 4-game lead on the Yankees, 5 on the Red Sox. Do you think what they have and the way they're playing is enough for you to believe that they're going to end up winning the AL East this year?
I would still pick the Yankees, again, with the caveat that we don't know what Judge is going to give them. The Blue Jays have played great. I think they've played kind of above expectations for the last month or so. Reinforcing that roster is absolutely the right approach. You're in first place. You are certainly in pole position to get a playoff spot. And I think you got to approach the trade deadline that way. It's like they identified their biggest area of need. Maybe it's a bullpen more than anything else. Right-handed relief. If they get 8 good starts, even abbreviated starts out of Shane Bieber, that's probably going to end up being the most significant acquisition that they made. I would say overall, I'm just really glad to see that they are going through it and that they're not hugging their prospects. Even though, like I said, individually, I think some of those trades might have been expensive on the prospect side. I would rather see teams in playoff position go for it versus standing pat.